Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, April 20th, 2021. And for those of you that are on the Mindset Call for the first time, welcome. Just sit back and listen and enjoy. What I want to do this morning, I want to go back to a book that we're going through on this call called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And I want to go back to something I've read on a previous call in chapter 15 titled The Path of Unconditional Happiness. The highest spiritual path is life itself. The highest spiritual path is life itself. If you know how to live daily life, it all becomes a liberating experience. But first, you have to approach life properly, or it can be very confusing. To begin with, you have to realize that you really only have one choice in this life. And it's not about your career. It's not about relationship. It's not about religion. It's not about any of these things. People tend to burden themselves with so many choices. But in the end, you can throw it all away and just make one basic underlying decision. Do you want to be happy? Or do you not want to be happy? It's really that simple. Once you make that choice, the choice of being happy or not being happy, once you make that choice, your path through life becomes totally clear. Most people don't dare give themselves that choice because they think that it's not under their control. Someone might say, well, of course I want to be happy, but my wife left me. In other words, they want to be happy, but not if their wife leaves them. But that wasn't the question. The question was very simply, do you want to be happy or not? If you keep it that simple, you will see that it is really under your control. It's just that you have a deep-seated set of preferences that get in the way. The question again is simply, do you want to be happy? If the answer is really yes, then say it without qualifying it. After all, what the question really means is, do you want to be happy from this point forward for the rest of your life, regardless of what happens? Now, if you say yes, it might happen that your wife leaves you, or your husband dies, or the stock market crashes, or your car breaks down on an open highway at night. Those things might happen between now and the end of your life. But if you want to walk the highest spiritual path, then when you answer yes to that simple question, you must really mean it. There are no ifs, there are no ands, and there are no buts about it. It's not a question of whether your happiness is under your control. Of course, it's under your control. It's just that you don't really mean it when you say you're willing to stay happy. you want to qualify it. You want to say that as long as this doesn't happen, or as long as that doesn't happen, then you're willing to be happy. That's why it seems like this is out of your control. Any condition you create will limit your happiness. You simply aren't going to be able to control things and keep them the way you want them. You have to give an unconditional answer. If you decide that you're going to be happy from now on for the rest of your life, you will not only be happy, you will become enlightened. Unconditional happiness is the highest technique there is. You don't have to learn Sanskrit. You don't have to read any scriptures. You don't have to renounce the world. You just have to really mean it when you say that you choose to be happy. And you have to mean it regardless of what happens. This is truly a spiritual path. And it is as direct and sure a path to awakening as could possibly exist. So, what do you hear in that passage? Anyone?
Commitment.
Okay, say more.
It's a choice.
It is a choice. And what Michael Singer is saying, it's your fundamental choice in life. It's your fundamental choice. And if you commit unconditionally, then no matter what happens, you're still happy. There's no circumstance. There's no situation. Life is going to happen. Life is going to happen. And no matter what life gives you, and in reality, the more tough stuff that life gives you based on your current set of preferences, that's what makes your life perfect. Why? Anyone? Why is that what makes your life perfect?
Because life is just what it is.
True. But why does the tough stuff make your life perfect?
Shows that you can handle it.
Okay.
Builds character.
The tough stuff, that's what we need. And why do we need it?
To grow.
To grow. That's where we all need to grow. The stuff that we want to resist, that's what we need in our life. The stuff that we want to resist, because life is giving us exactly what we need in order to grow and evolve. If we're going to be happy, we've got to be willing to let go of our shame. We've got to be willing to let go of our guilt. We need to be willing to let go of our apathy. We need to be willing to let go of our grief. We need to be willing to let go of our fear. We need to be willing to let go of our desire. We need to be willing to let go of our anger. We need to be willing to let go of our pride. We need to be willing to let go of all our negative emotions And this is an exercise that all of you need to go through. And this is from the book Letting Go by David Hawkins. You've got to look in your life and you've got to think about, not judge, acknowledge where you feel shame, where you feel humiliation, where your life view is miserable. You've got to be willing to acknowledge in your life where you feel guilt. And the emotion of guilt is blame. And your life view is the world is evil. You've got to be willing to acknowledge in your life where you feel apathy, demonstrated by the emotion of despair and the life viewpoint that things are hopeless. You've got to be willing to acknowledge where you feel grief and regret, and you feel like things are tragic. You've got to be willing to acknowledge, not judge, acknowledge where you feel fear, anxiety, where you see life as a threat. You've got to be willing to acknowledge your desire, which is all about having, not doing or being. It's about having, because you feel lack and limitation. You're craving something, and your life view is disappointment because you don't get what you want. You've got to acknowledge in your life where you feel anger, where you hate what's going on. And the way you show up every day is oppositional, antagonistic. You've got to acknowledge in your life where you feel pride, where you feel like you're better than other people, where you feel like you have to prove yourself, where life is all about being right, not being open. And your need to be right makes you a demanding individual. And if you're going to make the choice of happiness, if you're going to make the choice of happiness, that means you've got to be willing to let go of the shame, the guilt, the apathy, the grief, the fear, the desire, the anger, the pride, all of it. All of it. All of it. And that's going to take courage. That's going to take courage. The hallmark of courage is the knowledge and feeling, I can. When you're courageous, your mantra is, I can. It is a positive state. Being in a state of courage, it is a positive state in which we feel assured, skillful, adequate, capable, alive, loving, and giving, with an overall zest for life. We are capable, when we're feeling courageous, we're capable of humor, activity, confidence, and clarity. In the state of courageousness, we feel centered, we feel balanced, we feel flexible, we feel happy, we feel independent and self-sufficient. We can be inventive, creative, and open. In the state of courage, there is a lot of energy, action, letting go, capacity to be there, to be spontaneous, resilient, resourceful, and cheerful. In this state, we can be very effective in the world. When we step into the state of being courageous, we move from trying to get something from life to a place of now we're giving. We move from getting to giving. We move from having to doing and ultimately to being. The level of courage is very helpful in the mechanism of surrender. Again, letting go of all these negative emotions. In courage, we know I can look at my feelings. I can look at where I feel shame. I can look at where I feel guilt. I can look at where I feel apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride. I can look at those feelings. I don't have to be afraid of my feelings anymore. I can handle them. I can take responsibility for them. I can learn how to accept them and be free from them. I am willing to take risks. I am willing to let go of old points of view and to explore new ones. I am willing to be joyous and share my experience with others. I experience myself as willing and able. And I would challenge each of you as you're listening to Dana talk about her business. What are you feeling? Are you feeling courage? Are you feeling like if she did it, I can do it? Or are you feeling something less than that? What emotions are coming up for you as you listen to someone detail out their business that is much bigger than where most of you are, if not all of you? It is often easy to jump from any level of the lower feelings up to courage merely by affirming our courage to look at and handle our feelings. Are you willing to confront your shame? Are you willing to confront your guilt, your apathy, your grief? Are you willing to look your fear right in the eye, bring it in, embrace it, and let it go? Same with desire, same with anger, same with pride. The mere willingness to look at your feelings and begin to handle them increases your self-esteem. If, for instance, we have a fear and are unwilling to look at it, then we feel diminished and our self-esteem is lowered. If you are willing to look at that fear, examine it, acknowledge its presence, see how it has inhibited our life, and begin to surrender it, then our self-esteem increases, whether the fear disappears or not. Despite all of their negative programming, and we are all, unless we've had someone enlightened in our life who's had just this wonderful, incredible impact, we're all programmed in a negative way. There's nothing wrong with us. There's a lot wrong with our programming. Despite all of their negative programming and despite all of their fear, courageous people go forward in life. Now, this is what I want you to listen to. Courageous people go forward in life with no guarantee and not even the knowledge that things are going to get better. So courage increases our self-respect and brings to us the respect of others. We no longer need to feel ashamed. When you're being courageous, you're being vulnerable. And what that means is you're willing to walk into the unknown. You don't need a guarantee. You don't need to know that it's going to work out. You just need to know you're doing the right thing. You're willing to let go of your shame. You're willing to let go of your guilt. You're willing to let go of your apathy, your grief, your fear, your desire, your anger, your pride. You're willing to make the choice that I'm going to be happy no matter what. My happiness. Why do we set goals? Why do we have all these goals? Because in our mind, if we can achieve these goals, then we're going to be happy. So we're putting conditions on our happiness. And most of you know when you do that, you end up short of the goal. And even if you do hit the goal, what do? Then you reset a bigger goal, a bolder goal. And then you're back on the path of unhappiness again. If you're going to choose happiness, no matter what happens, you've got to be willing to let go of all your negative emotions. Feelings are just feelings. That's all they are. They're just feelings. Just like thoughts are just thoughts. Thoughts by themselves have no power. Feelings by themselves have no power. We have over 60,000 thoughts a day. They come and go. Our feelings are no different than the weather, always changing. The only thing that gives a thought power, the only thing that gives a feeling power is the meaning you place on your thoughts and your feelings. If you're willing to recognize thoughts are just thoughts and feelings are just feelings, you can let all the negative stuff go. Life, the key to having a rich and fulfilling life is letting go. It's not doing more, it's letting go. That's what you want to be working on every day, of letting go. And again, as you go through this week with Dana, you're going to really come face to face with all the ways that you feel less than, specifically in business. And are you going to be willing to let that go? On the call I just did before this, Ellen, unmute yourself.
Hello.
In you listening to Dana, on one hand, it's very inspiring. On the other hand, it felt very what?
Daunting.
Daunting. Oh my God. How am I going to do all this? How am I going to get this all done? Can I do it? How long is it going to take? What if it doesn't work out? We can screw ourselves up totally. What we have to do is let go of any negative emotion that comes up and stay in this state of courage. And courage is earmarked by the mantra, I can.
Yeah.
I will, I can, I am. And what we want to do in life, we want to recognize where we are. Are we living in a state of having and getting? If that's what our life is all about every day, trying to get what we want and have what we want, then we want to graduate to a state of doing and giving. And if we're in that state of doing and giving, and again, that's where courage comes in, then we want to move up the scale to a place of where we're focused on how we're being. If we go back to being, that's moving from neutrality to willingness to acceptance to reason to love to joy to peace to enlightenment. We move from thinking things, we can do this. 2, we're satisfied. 2, we're hopeful, harmonious. We're doing things that are meaningful. We feel complete. We feel our perfection. And our life view is life is. Life is. It's not good. It's not bad. It just is. So, how's that for a mouthful at 6 a.m. in the morning? Any thoughts, comments, anyone?
This chart is from Michael Singer's book.
No, it's not in the book. It's in a different book of his. But he in the Letting Go, he works through all these the book is about the progression, moving up from shame all the way through joy and peace to enlightenment.
Got it. Thanks.
Steve.
Yes.
Okay, so I've been working on all of this, and this just seems to me to be, it's a process, right? It's a process. But how do you get through, like, let's say you made certain decisions, or, when you were younger, right, that affected somebody else's life. And if that thought keeps coming like every day and you try to push it out, it's like, how do you know if you want to be happy, right? I want to be happy, but these choices that I made when I was younger affected one of my daughter's lives. So how do you, and whose expense, I guess what I'm asking, if I want to be happy, I'm a bit, forgive me, but I'm trying to take this all in, but
Right,
wondering
okay.
where responsibility lies in this.
Great question. All right. And this is what you have to be willing to accept, Donna. Great question. And this goes for everyone. You have to accept what's done is done. What's in the past is in the past. The whole idea of karma is ridiculous. There's not a punishment coming your way. That's all in your head. That's you making that story up. Whatever you did, whatever it is that you did, and this goes to everyone, you did the best you could at the time. That's what you did. If you had more ability to handle that situation better at that point in time, guess what you would have done, Donna?
What? I would have did it.
You would have done it.
But that doesn't take away from the fact that my daughter
It's done.
feels that I did.
It's done. It's done. And whatever that did for, whatever the impact was, that's for that person to deal with. That's what they need in their life in
Okay.
order for them to grow and evolve. That thing that happened was perfect for them. That's hard to grasp, right?
Yes.
That's hard to grasp. That is reality. That's what you need to get your arms around. This is a big part of this puzzle. Each and every one of you has to understand what happened in the past is done. It's done. It's over. It's only alive where, Donna?
In my mind.
In your mind. It doesn't exist. You're making it up now.
Okay, so no, okay, that's where I don't understand. I'm not making up because she refuses to talk to me and is and that's fine.
That's her. That's
Yeah.
her. That's what
How
she
do I get
needs
it out
to
of my
go-
mind?
She needs to go through that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you need to accept that's what is.
Okay.
And here's the big thing, Donna. As long as you're resisting it, which you are,
Yes.
guess what?
What?
She's not going to talk to you.
Okay.
Is when you get to the point of accepting what is, that's what creates the possibility for that situation to change. As long as you resist it, as long as you have negative feelings around it, you're going to keep it where it is.
Okay.
And that's for you to, now this applies to everyone. In order for you to grow, that's the path that you need to be on, to be able to let that go. To be able to let that go. Remember, when you choose happiness, you choose it what? Unconditionally, no matter what you've done in your past, period. And I'm happy to continue this discussion because that was a very important question. And think about, Donna, think about how much resistance you have to letting that go.
A lot. A lot. It actually, I'm not gonna say consumes me, but it's every day that I try to push it away, but I don't even realize it's there and it affects
Right.
my.
This is what I'm saying. It's shame, it's guilt, it's regret, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
It's
It is.
fear. It's negative emotions. And you've got to be willing, and this applies to all of you. You've got to be willing to let it go, and you can let it go because everything that happens in life is temporary. Everything. And everyone needs to understand, and this is not just, this is not just being naive or, not taking responsibility. When you don't let it go, then you are not taking responsibility. You are not taking responsibility.
Okay.
Taking responsibility for what you've done in your life means letting it go, because you have to understand at the time you did the best that you could given what happened. If you had more capacity, ability at that point in time, you would have done it. Now you do. That's why you're on this call. So we can know that we can let go of the past. And not only can we, in order to get to a higher state of being, we need to let go of everything. This is the key to life, letting go. And as we let go, our highest self rises. Inside of each of us is an energy that it is our perfection, is our infinite possibility, is our one with life. That energy is inside each of us. And as we let go of all these negative emotions, that energy rises to the surface. And this is the journey. Someone had a comment?
Yes, is there any value in, and maybe Donna's done this, but coming at it from an emotionally intelligent, tactical empathy approach and saying, without any defensiveness, saying, this happened and I know you must feel this way and this, and just label it all out and, say, look, I love you. If there's any way is there a way for us to move forward? And if she says no, then you can really let it go because you've gotten on her side of the street, and that you've done all you can do at that point, and you have to let it go at that point. But I think you have to.
Yeah, I mean, there may be a place for that. However, before that, and this is not about
all of that over the years, like all that. She's just, it's unforgiveness on her part. Like I've already done all that. I forgive, and she just doesn't want anything to do with me. So I'm at that place now where you're right, Steve. I have to say, okay, acceptance, right?
Right. Hold on one second. Not forgiveness. It's not about forgiving yourself.
Okay.
It's about letting go.
Okay.
Letting go. It's about, and again, this applies to everyone. Whatever happened in the past happened in the past. It's gone. It's done. It's history. Let it go, period.
Okay.
This will be the call next week. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard.